So we've looked at configuring the DMX Pix using a computer. That's our RC4Magic PC software. We've looked at running strings with complex patterns on a Hog4 PC, very high-end console. Now what we want to touch on is how to translate in your mind all of these interesting things you've seen in the software. You've seen what the features are, what the parameters are. That's a really great way to digest what they are. But now I want to show you how you can take that knowledge and apply it and make settings and create patterns without all that extra equipment. So what I have here is a 088 Fat Frog console. It is configured in the most basic, what they call wide mode. So I have 48 channels of simple DMX faders. Like DMX was defined in 1986, like just what it is. Channels are levels. And I have our basic DMX I/O transmitter for our RC4Magic Series 3 system. And over here is one RC4Magic DMXpix. So it does 2 full lengths of strings. And connected to the strings are 2 high-density vivid RGB pixel strings. The chip type in the vivid pixel strings is WS2812. That happens to be the default type on the device, but we're going to do the settings and demonstrate that you can still pick pretty much any string type, and the DMX Pix does them all. Doesn't even have to be the same one in each port. So we're going to do this using an enhanced version of RC4Magic OneTouch. RC4 OneTouch is using channels and the number of the channel, as in, I'm going to go to channel 10. What is that channel? It's number 10. And the value of the channel. So I could go to channel 10 and set it to 50%, set it to a hard value of 62, for example, these different things. And by setting channels to values, I've configured parameters, and when I go to a device and push the button, that's the one touch, then the values of those channels are converted into parameter settings and saved forever in a box. So the DMX Pix has more parameters to set this way than most other devices, and we do it as a sequence of channels in a row. I have the console set to start on DMX channel 1, and that's where I want to have our keyframe positioned. If I were going to start on a different channel, I'd simply go, say I wanted to start at channel 300, I would just do the same process you're going to see right now, except I'd start on channel 300. The very fact that it is that channel is how it knows the keyframe is going to begin there. So we're going to channel 1. If I set a level on channel 1 of 75, I am selecting the WS2812 string type, which works for vivid RGB. And if I go to the second channel and go to a level of 8, I have just told it that I want my keyframe to be 8 channels long. 8 pixels long, 8 pixels. Remember, I'm doing this with faders, which is super fun. There we go. And then finally, there is the grouping. So I want to get a little wider and spread. Since my keyframe is only going to be 8 pixels long, I would like to make that have the pixels visually a little farther apart. So I'm going to group them, let's say 6 or somewhere around there. Here we go. Well, let's do 5. And then finally, the last parameter that we're doing this way is the replication method, the repeat, the way that it's going to send the data down the string, because the DMX Pix is always generating data in some way to the end of a 500 pixel string. That's the big power of it. Remember, because 500 pixels is 1,500 DMX channels, the approximate equivalent of 3 DMX universes, and that all gets taken care of in the little box. That's the DMX Pix power. So those are my settings, and I'm going to go with take a little tool over to the device, and I want these configurations to apply to the first string, which is connected to the A channel. So I will push the A button, and we have now converted that over. And these settings now apply. And those are the pixels in a row. Now the next thing that's interesting is the color order. here I have green starting, and I don't want it to be green. I want it to be red. Important point in this method: if a channel for a parameter is set to 0, it will leave the current value and not change it. So this also lets me go and change make a start for a pattern in a different place and not have to set all the other values. And it lets me go and do something else that's kind of cool, and that is I can set, each time I push the button, it will go to the next color order. So let's go in and push it till we see red up. There's blue, and there's red. Remember, there's 2 different patterns that could start with red, so we'll see if we've got the right one. Red, green, blue. So there we have it. We've just corrected the color order as well. Still, buttons, sliders, no computer. Now, as defined, I can create these patterns live. There, I'm kind of making a ripple along the string. Remember, if I had a 500 pixel length, this is going all the way around the room with 500 pixels. Really easy. Just before we end up, let's do the same thing with different settings on my bottom row. So I'll be able to do something different entirely on B. So for this, I'm starting at channel 25. I want to be able to see that on the screen. And it's the same string type, so I go to 74, which is picking WS2812, vivid type. And for this, my keyframe will still be 8, because that is, I'm limited to my number of faders for this live representation. And let's go with a really long grouping. Let's go with a grouping of 14. And let's do a different replication method. So now, there I'm set up. Remember, my first channel up is 25. That's how it's going to know the second pattern starts on 25. And we go over here and push B. And now we have groupings. I can see that my first color is green, so I'm going to push again until I've got it to be red. There's red. We'll go over here and make sure that we've got red. We got red, red, blue, green, so I will push it again. We're cycling through those options. So have to be at the correct level for the string type, which is, in this case, 75 or around there. We'll go and flip through to the next option for red. Now it will be red, green, blue. There we go. And remember, now we have a wider pixel effect down on the bottom. So, and then this one is up here. Look how easy that was. I've just used every feature in the DMX Pix with no computers, paperclip, and the simplest console that is even on the market at this point. So that's pretty powerful.